Good evening. I'll call the Brandon Select Board to order. Thank you for your attendance. First item is to adopt the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Wyman moves to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Item 2, approval of the minutes. We'll start with September 9th. I have a correction, if I could, John. On page 4, Mrs. Fernari has retired after 29 years as elected lister or assessor's assistant. Not 25. We do thank her for the service. We corrected the last one, but we didn't do any action on the minutes. Is there any other errors or omissions in the September 9th board meeting minutes? If not, all in favor of approving as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Item B, the minutes of the public hearing of September 23rd. Is there a motion from the board?
Make that motion.
Mr. Coolidge moves to approve.
Second.
Mr. Geisel seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of approval as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. And the minutes of September 23rd select board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Coolidge moves to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Wyman seconds to approve. Any errors or omissions in the minutes as submitted? If not, all in favor of approval of the minutes as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Item 3, the town manager's report. Mr. Atherton.
This is my report for the last 3 weeks, actually. Segment 6, the final paved course is completed on all the roadways. Pavers have returned this week to do drives, and some of the other areas will be like paving out here in front of the town hall this week, and parking areas and stuff. Curbing's all completed, and sidewalk work continues in segment A, which is the south end. I'm sure all you guys noticed that, looks great. And landscaping and stonework continues in Central Park and segment C. Other happenings, Church Road Culvert project unfortunately will not be completed this fall due to not being able to work in the water. That was from the state. We'll have to repost the bid for spring 2020, which will probably get more interest on it anyway, so. Union Street sidewalk was temporarily on hold due to the discovery of 2 sewer lines that were on the plans, which prompted a redesign for a storm structure, which I believe will commence next week. There was a significant sewer backup here at the town hall that required some professional cleaning by G.W. Savage. This was due to a sewer line not being connected. It was not on the plans. So it is in our insurance company's hands, and we'll see what we do with that, but that's why we have no ramp out there. But it is bacteria free now. So attend the town fair and the annual Vermont League of Cities and Towns meeting on October 2nd and 3rd. The hot topic this year was self-governance and cybersecurity. There's some chatter about self-governance for towns and villages. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but and cybersecurity is huge right now, as we all know. So I know Tim has been doing some webinars and trainings on it, and made some connections with a couple of folks at Town Fair that we're going to reach out to too. The appraisal has been completed on 477 Newton Road for the FEMA buyout. I'll be setting up a meeting with the landowners to discuss. We actually closed on the one on the other end. I can't think of the numbers right now. The first houses on the east end of Newton Road, we closed on Friday. Attended the Rutland Regional Transportation Commission meeting on the 26th of September. It was mostly an organizational meeting. It was their first meeting. There was a presentation on electric buses. Rutland's getting one. I think Fairhaven's getting the other one that they're going to do on like a pilot program. Actually, no pilot program because it's electric. And a better paving schedule for Class 1 highways, which is what was done with Route 73. So they're looking at trying to get a little more, because that commission actually does have some pull in what we do for Class 1 in Rutland County. So they want to try to streamline that a little bit more. FEMA is holding 2 discovery meetings to discuss risk mapping, assessment, and planning for the Otter watershed on October 29th. In Middlebury at the Isley Library, and October 30th at the Rutland Free Library. I will be attending one of these, and I know that, I think letters were sent out to go to everybody, or the chief says.
I think just,
Yeah, so
it's in the packet.
if anyone wants to attend. Bid opening for the demolition of 419 and 449 Newton Road is on October 4th. The project was awarded to Parker Excavating. Also completed an asbestos survey on both properties. 419 does have a small amount of asbestos that will have to be removed prior to demolition, and currently coordinating with a company to remove that. The other house is fine. Rec Department news. Harvest Fest was a success. That was this weekend. Sudbury Road Race is coming up on October 19th. That is I think it's a 1 mile. Starts at the school in Sudbury. Spooksville is on October 25th at Estabrook, a partnership with Brandon Area Toys Project in the 3rd year. Bigger than ever, complete with food trucks and lots of trunks. Our winter town hall schedule is nearly complete. Comedy shows, music, and ping pong have been added to the schedule on top of the wildly successful Brandon Idol. And that is all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Atherton. Questions or comments from the board for the town manager? Mr. Fuller? No, nothing. I would just advise the board, I cannot attend either of those two FEMA meetings on October 29th or 30th. If anyone else from the board can attend, they should see Mr. Atherton. Mr. Bailey, anything?
Yes, I can't attend those either, because I'm out of town. On the sewer backup here, did that have anything to do with the Route 7 Segment 6 project, or
It wasn't on the plans. So what happened was, this is actually the 3rd time that we've had some issues in here within the last 6 months. And fortunately, the line was big enough for storage that it didn't cause a problem the other few times. But we started doing we had miners come in and do some exploratory out here, and we discovered that the bank has its own line, Heritage Family, and we have one, and they're seriously about this far apart. And where they tied in is further down the line than where they dug, is probably out in the green space somewhere out front. So when they dug where the plan showed to dig, they only found the bank line. So they changed it and fixed it, and then the one just sat. But we were able to get it connected.
I think what my question was kind of more like you, it's in the cost is maybe coming from insurance, so no cost, no credit back from the project or anything like that.
The insurance company is going to want to try to recoup their money somehow, Doug.
Okay.
But we do have, our insurance has this no-fault sewer backup for the whole town, actually.
Okay.
So we were able to do that, and we got, like I said, we had Savage in here, and actually I've got, so I'm going to be talking to them about doing the repairs as well, so.
Good. And one more question on the bid openings on 419 and 449 to tear them down. Was it significantly lower than it had been before?
Oh, yes.
Can you share that number? Or is
yeah,
that
the low bid was $35,900 for both properties.
And it was 50.
So it was over 50 for one of them last time.
Okay. So
And we had a lot of bidders show up for this one, so that was pretty competitive. And actually, the second bid up was only $93 off. So the bids were pretty tight, which was good. You know, these guys are out of New Haven, so they're kind of local.
And one last is more of a comment. I personally have thought that the company improved Natalie Boyle doing the 73, that they've done a really great job, I think, having it pretty regularly. I think their flaggers have been great, I think their working has been great, and just like to say that I think they've done a great job.
Yeah, they've been a pleasure to work with. They've helped us out on a lot of stuff too, like the Frog Hollow, stuff we did there with Frog Hollow Paintworks. Beachers was great with that, so.
I think it would be good if we thanked them as a town in some, form of a letter or email or something. I just think it went seamless. And the updates were great when people asked us, we always had an answer for them. So for an outside agency doing something in our town, it's the best I've seen yet. That's all I have.
Mr. Guy? Mr. Wyman? Questions from the public for the town manager regarding his report and items not on the agenda? Mr. Rosenberg.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask the town manager to get a hold of Markowski, who's doing their Union Street project, and get there and do something with the road, the part that's torn up. I mean, the potholes there are really, really bad. And I don't know, I know they put loose gravel in there, but if it stays in for half a day and then you got a big hole again, maybe they could put some of that shore pack in. I think it holds better. But they got to do something with it.
I called them at about 3:30 this afternoon to have them come fix it, so it's getting done tonight or tomorrow morning.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Mr. Ruxenberger. Other questions or comments from the public for the town manager regarding his report? Okay, if not, item 4, we have a report from the town health officer, rental housing officer. So the board had requested of various appointed officers and boards a semi-annual report, and this is basically the semi-annual report from Tom Kilpeck. It's for the board's information. He notes 7 complaints under the health code, 61 occupancy inspections, and 8 animal bite complaints since the first of the year. Any questions from the board? I think that was helpful to have. Item 5 is public comment and participation. So this would be a good opportunity for any item that does not appear elsewhere on the agenda. And we'll start with the board, and then when we go to the public, I would ask you to conform to the Brandon Select Board Rules of Procedure public participation page, which is available for your reference on the sign-in table if it's not something that you've read recently. So, starting with the board, Mr. Wyman, anything?
Nothing.
Mr. Giles?
No.
I haven't.
Nope.
So from the public, anything from the public that's not on the agenda elsewhere tonight?
Yeah, going back to find out what you're doing on Basin Road with the RV.
Okay, so
It's been a
do
month.
we have any additional information from the health officer?
I don't, I will discuss that with them.
Okay. We have no additional information right
They're
now.
putting the garbage in the truck again. They're not taking it to the dump. It's piling up in that truck.
Okay, so have you alerted the health officer about this?
No, I thought he was
That's-
checking, to see.
I'm sure he is, but this really isn't gonna get it done. You two have been faithful about coming, and you have a legitimate concern, but you gotta talk to the guy who does the job, which is Tom Kilpeck.
How many times do we have to talk to them before somebody does something about it?
He's doing something now. I'm not gonna let you sit there and say that he's not doing
Okay, what
anything
is he
because
doing?
he's doing
What
something.
is he doing? Tell me.
He's made contact with the homeowners.
Okay,
He's gotten,
Two
he's
non-certified
gotten
letters that
the
came.
health over to them, right?
I believe so.
Actually, the chief is here. Did he have to call upon you to deliver anything, or did he not have to call
No, he
upon?
hasn't had to.
So I believe he delivered it without the chief having to deliver it from
Okay.
police.
so
And that's where the process is. It doesn't happen fast.
okay, he's received a letter, you said?
May have received the letter, we don't know.
I can't speak for the health officer. You really need to talk to the health officer.
He doesn't keep you appraised of what's going on?
He just submitted a report which covers from
He
first
doesn't,
to...
but he doesn't give you details.
Unless we ask, no. And we wouldn't ask because he can deal with you about this problem. The board does not make decisions on this fine a level. The board makes decisions about policy. The board makes some decisions with Mr. Atherton about personnel. The board makes decisions about budgeting and finance. The board does not generally make a decision on an individual case of any kind.
Who does he answer to?
He answers to Mr. Atherton.
What?
Actually, the select board.
So yours or
Yeah,
yours?
the select board appoints.
He answers to the board.
But just, I can ask Tom to call you tomorrow.
He
if
answers
that-
to you.
I can ask Tom to call you tomorrow if you would like.
I would
I
love
really
that.
don't know where he is with that, so.
I would love that. Yeah, because, like I said, the garbage, it's getting really cold. How are they heating this place? Are they using a kerosene heater? Are we gonna hear an explosion in the middle of the night some night?
It's not really a concern for a public meeting, ma'am. It's not a concern for a public meeting. It's a concern for you to bring to the appropriate town official.
Which is you guys are, he's answers to
To
you.
you.
So somewhere along the line, he's getting information, not passing it on. You see us, he doesn't see us.
He's doing his job.
But we don't know that because we're not being told
It
anything.
seems like the problem is timeliness.
God.
And I think this is where it's been a recurring issue. It seems like we should have Tom give us, if he reports to us, if he's in fact our appointee, he should give us an update on this issue
Right.
to our satisfaction.
I mean, technically, he has in a complaint on the health code. I mean, that is one of the things in there, garbage complaint, allegation on. I mean, he hasn't come to address it. It is, I'm assuming it's a complaint that he's working on.
It is a complaint that he's working on, and we know that he's working on it.
I guess there just needs to be a confidence that either the process is working and he's doing everything to move the ball down to make it complete, or that he's met a dead end and that this is the way it's going to be because he's done everything he legally can, and we need to just tell them that this is the way it is.
Well, and I think that's a good point, Tim, if I may, that I hope there's not like some thought that, the town can just show up with a loader and go on these people's lawn and take the garbage away, because we can't do that, and we're trespassing. That's not what we do. Tom has rules that he has to follow in order to make this happen. We've gone through this before with other properties in town. I think there's a town farm one that's a perfect example that we ended up tax selling, and it was the blessing in disguise that we could clean it up that way, basically. But these things happen. We've had junk car issues that, that they get into compliance and then they kind of peter out again. We got to get them back in. It happens. And I know Tom has stayed on top of this one, but there's multiple issues up there. He talked to the folks in the RV. But the town doesn't need to get a lawsuit on them either for, this whole thing. So Tom's got rules to follow, and that's what he's doing.
I mean, and how long were we on the town farm, like how long were we
Oh
without?
my gosh, that was years, Tracy. I mean, that was before.
Was that a house? Was
Yeah.
that a house?
It was.
With heat and water and everything? This is an RV with nothing.
Debatable, but, yeah. I mean, it was pretty bad. So, yeah, the neighbors are here, they can tell you.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. But it took some time, and it got cleaned up.
Maybe you need to rewrite your laws to give you a little bit more
Well, what if the
authority.
false statute-
Ma'am, it's not within the town's authority to treat something like this as a criminal matter.
It's not a criminal matter, but it's a
And so the-
dangerous matter. It's
Health issue, I mean,
It's a health
sooner or
issue.
later, you guys have not found out if you had receipts for somebody pumping. You did not to say, can I see your compost toilet or whatever?
does he need a
supposedly?
permit for it?
Or anybody pumping? I said,
I'll
it's gonna
say
be
it to you
health.
again.
My well is close by, that's why I'm saying.
We have a health officer who's pursuing this. I'm confident that he's doing the job right because he's had the training. He's made the reports to the select board in a general sense. We can ask him for an additional report about this. I'm happy to do that.
How about that?
But he's going to resolve this as best the town is authorized to resolve this. He can't just fix it in the way that will make you happy. He's going to have to do this in the way that the statute allows. And the statute will not allow much, to be honest with
Is
you.
it the state statute or the
Yes,
town?
of course it's the state statute.
You said Freddie was moving his property, his house.
I did not.
Somebody did. He put a deck on it. Does he have a permit for it?
I
I never received any paperwork.
I have nothing else to say about this particular instance.
Didn't want to listen to it.
His dogs are running the road. They're running, not just two now, they're getting together. There were like 3 or 4 together running on the road. I almost backed up over them. They were behind my car when I got my mail.
Please tell Mr. Kilpack. He's the animal, not the animal officer. Please tell Mr. Kilpack. I can't do anything, so I'm not sure why.
I really think you
You can
guys
if
are
you want.
getting played big time. I really do, and not by Tom. by Frazier and the people living in that RV,
Okay,
big time.
thank you, that's noted, okay?
Good.
Are there additional public comments for items not on the agenda tonight?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Question on the side, there was a situation when Walgreens took over the new pharmacy down there, and the sign, there was constraint on the size of the sign or something, is that true? If I recall, they wanted to put a sign up there for the
Mr.
Walgreens.
Suzie talked with the pharmacy about complying with the Brandon sign ordinance as it was revised. Yes.
Because I'm curious, the size of the sign over at the tattoo shop seems to be a little bit larger than normal, or is that allowable, the size on the railing?
So in the segment 6 project, the select board did authorize temporary signage to exceed the regular signage during the
Just curious.
duration of the
It seemed
project.
rather large for them. Okay, good.
We waived the sign ordinance for the project so folks could advertise and market,
Okay.
you know, for the project. So once that's done, they have to come back into
Well,
compliance.
when I went over to have a little breakfast this morning by Cafe Provence, by the barber shop over there's 2 guys who are coming out there. They said they're gonna start work on the bridge or something, is there?
So, yeah, well, that's not our bridge, so I know it's a privately owned bridge, but yes, they got Mr. Reed to move downstairs.
Okay,
And yeah, it looks like Rose, sorry, Reed's the other guy. And yeah, they're hoping to actually start working on that here pretty soon, so. That's what I heard, I mean, that's something you'd have to
does
ask.
the state have to get involved in that, I'm
That's
sure?
that's all been done, that was permitted quite a while ago, actually.
Okay, because we don't want to drop that concrete in the river.
But that's not a town
Right,
lot,
okay,
so
perfect.
that's all private land.
Right.
Additional public comment and participation, questions, comments, Mr. Reisinger?
Yeah, I just have a question. A couple select board meetings ago, you had mentioned that the town was going to be reimbursed for the $22,000 that was paid to Mr. Burlett. And you indicated, I thought, the minutes said, it was probably coming from insurance. Can you give a status on that? Have we gotten anything back? or-
I can give a status on that. The board is going to have an executive session tonight, which is going to address the most recent communication from our insurer and from our attorney.
So that's not public information, you can't say, so I assume then we did not get any money yet?
That's a correct assumption.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know.
Other public comment and participation? Okay, if not, we'll move along. Item 6 is the adoption of the energy plan. So the board has had 2 hearings, I think the planning commission had 1, regarding the energy plan as it fits into the town plan. Do you want to introduce this, Mr. Atherton?
I can, I know Mr. Orchard is actually here. We did go through a list of folks that everyone was having some issues getting here tonight, because the plane was stuck overseas, so. Yeah, we discussed the new energy plan. You guys had it presented twice to you. The thought moving forward, this would be that this plan actually replaces the current language that's in the town plan, which is pretty minimal. This does give us some more grounds to stand on for solar siting. I think it'll do the job for us and where we need to be right now with it. We would like to see the select board actually adopt that sort of amendment or replacement for the town plan.
Mr. Orchard, did you have additional comments, or
I did not.
you did not? What's the pleasure of the board?
I move that we adopt the energy plan.
Is there a second?
Sure.
Mr. Bailey, sorry. Mr. Giles moves, Mr. Fuller seconds. Any discussion on the energy plan?
I think it was a great job. They gathered a lot of useful data, and it's actually an operable blueprint to reach long-term goals that we can measure our progress year to year, and I think it's a really valuable tool.
I will like to say for the record, I spoke with Ed Bove of the Rutland Regional Planning Commission, and he indicated that Brandon and Rutland Town are the 2 towns that have had the most solar constructed to this point, and that he agreed that towns that have had substantial solar already constructed are going this route of identifying particular parcels, which is the route that the Energy Committee took through the Planning Commission. So that answered a concern of mine, and Ed Bove's opinion was that this will, he shares with Mr. Atherton's judgment that this will give us the substantial deference that we're looking for if someone comes in to do a project and we don't believe it's well sited. So I also would thank the Energy Committee for the job and the Planning Commission. Additional public or additional board comments? Ready to vote? All in favor of adopting the energy plan as it has been presented by the Planning Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Item 7 is to set dates for the Budget Committee.
It's that time of the year.
So we have in the past done 2 in November and 2 in December, each spaced out a week in between. Do you have a recommendation for this year?
Whatever works for your guys' schedule. I do know that when we talked in the town office that department heads would like to actually sit with us together a couple times before we bring it to you guys. So we've had those conversations already too. But that should be fine if we start in November. We will be ready by then.
You mean the department heads want to sit with who?
Me.
What's the pleasure of the board on meeting to write, this is to draft the budget in a workshop kind of setting?
I think we've started early, but I think we could start after Thanksgiving. In reality, if they do pre-work with Dave and then are sitting down with us, so we can really start, the very end of Thanksgiving, the very end of Thanksgiving, very end of November and December.
We'll do one like the first week of January probably.
And then
that's what we did last year.
finally, usually we do one right in there, correct. That's final.
How are Tuesdays?
Tuesdays after Thanksgiving are great for me.
Is that reasonable? How about December 3, 10, 17?
What time?
I think we used to do them at 6,
Yeah, we don't do those early.
not 6, 7.
No, 7 probably, all right.
7.
good.
Do you want to schedule 3, 10, and 17 right now and find out what happens as it develops?
Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
All right, let's go for December 3, 10, and 17 at 7 p.m. in the workshop setting.
Do you guys want to meet here or in the town office, in the conference room?
I don't care.
Town office, we could have the computer available.
I should be able to use it over here though. I guess that's,
It might also
we
be
got
longer.
crowded in there a couple of times last year, so. I mean, we can figure that one out before we get to it.
Just keep that line.
But we should be able to use it because everything's in the cloud now, so. Just follows us around.
Okay. All right, that's great. That's a great start. Thank you. Unless there's objection, I just want to get number 9 out of the way because I don't think it's going to take any time at all.
Can we get back to, are we going to add any, are we thinking of adding people to the budget committee where we lost?
So now we have Tony Peduto and Jan Coolidge.
We originally had 4, we went to 3, we're down to 2.
Have we solicited for budget committee members?
Well, I know we had some talk last year on whether we were gonna even keep the committee or not, so, that's really up to you guys.
I like having the budget committee. I do. I wouldn't mind having an additional budget committee person.
Should we post something on Front Porch Forum or something?
Probably, yeah.
I think it gives a great transparency that we've had, not just us in the town, that we've got some outside people come in, give ideas, et cetera. And it's been helpful, but we have to, whether we need 3, 4, 8, 2 is sufficient, but I wouldn't mind going back and bringing in another set of eyes.
Is that the consensus of the board? Should we make available one additional spot
Yeah.
for this hearing. Yeah. Mr. Giles, would you care to clerk post?
Just one set?
And then just one.
Sure, I'll do that.
Room gets crowded sometimes. We're over there. Okay. All right, so would there be objection if we could just take care of number 9, get it out of the way, and then spend some more time on that stuff? So, if not, we'll go ahead. Number 9 is the National Prescription Opiate Litigation Class Action Suit. Came to us from the town clerk. And I assume that if we take no action, we're part of the class. So is there a motion from the board to take no action on this and then part of the class?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, there's a motion from Mr. Coolidge and a second from Mr. Lyman. Any discussion? We're not going to pursue this on our own.
No, I read it, seems like it makes sense, and Sue's suggestion is for us to stay in the class.
Okay, ready to vote, all in favor of staying part of the class, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. You guys have it. Item 8, Town Farm Road discussion. Okay, so, Town Farm Road, the board has posted the northerly section of Town Farm Road for no trucks, and then the board rescinded that decision based on some further public comment and testimony. And now we're here again to discuss the Town Farm Road situation. And I wonder if, I have nothing to say to start the discussion. Is there anybody who'd like to start the discussion?
Oh, first of all, I want to say, believe me when I say that I would not be bringing this up if I felt that the Newton roadway was unsafe or more unsafe than the current road. And I would like to hear what Mr. Giles thought since he came and visited me on Friday? No, Monday.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Friday.
Sure. When I knew that this was coming up, being new to some parts of the town, I took it upon myself to ride out there and ride both routes and just see what was in the ground. And I found Town Farm Road to be narrow, and I can understand people's concern about trying to walk on the road and have large trucks. I noticed that Richmond Road was posted with no through trucks, and that's a road that's nearby, and so it's a precedent of sorts. My feeling is that there's a certain inclination to give businesses the right to use roads at their discretion, because that ought to be the norm. And yet, I think it's hard to balance people's feeling of insecurity and unsafeness, because that's something that can't just be denied. And so I'm looking forward to a discussion about how to balance the needs of business with the needs of homeowners feeling safe on the road.
Well, in my opinion, that I think safety should come first before the businesses or how much money, the extra fuel it takes or the extra couple minutes it takes to go the alternate route. Because if one way is clearly more unsafe than the other, then I believe that that should not be the way that the trucks take. And from what I can tell, there hasn't been nearly as many incidents on the alternate route that they use all the time anyways when Town Farm Road gets potholey or muddy, while most of the incidents that occur seem to occur on the stretch from Delham Road through the dirt portion of Town Farm Road, which is why this issue keeps coming up. And I do know that it's been going on for a long time because someone told me that it went ignored by the previous town managers. I told you that on Friday before Mr. Atherton thankfully finally brought it up more to the board.
Further comment?
Yes.
Mr. Wyman?
The part Mr. Ritter is concerned about is the dirt section of Town Farm Road heading north. Coming out of that.
Kept coming out of it, yes.
There is approximately 27 houses within the town limit, which is approximately, I'm going to call it 2 miles long. Is that a fair assumption? I didn't clock the mileage. And I'm counting it 2 miles long. With that 27 houses, if we go the other route, we go down to Town Farm Road, down to Newton Road.
Yep,
There's 12 houses on Town Farm Road, on the asphalt part.
yes.
There is a single lane bridge on the asphalt part. Once we get to Newton Road, there's 17 houses. And that's not including the 2 FEMA buyout houses.
Yeah.
We get to the end of Newton Road, when we come to the intersection of North Street, right across the street. Number one, it's a dangerous place
Yeah,
for trucks to turn either north or south. With the, I believe it's Middle Road, there's 6 houses here, which I understand that those houses don't all come down onto North Street. They can go up onto 73. We go a little further, we've got a grocery store that's very busy at the same intersection, along with the post office, along with the Furnace Road, which has approximately 21 houses. That, again, those all don't come out onto this street, but a lot of them do, because a lot of them get their mail, they come down to the store. Down going up North Street, there's 128 houses, roughly, going on and off each individual road.
I understand that, but
But
those,
I'm not finished yet.
I'm sorry.
So, in that, within Forest Brook and within all that, we also have probably one of our biggest employers in the town that also is on North Street, along with a very busy vegetable stand throughout the summer. And I think most of the issue on the Town Farm Road with the truck issue, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's during the summer.
Yes, it's from beginning of spring, whenever they start through October.
October,
Yeah.
through that part of, through
Yes.
construction season.
Yes, although they sometimes come through during winter, but that's.
Right, but that's not anywhere near like the traffic.
No,
you get
no, no,
during
no.
the summer. So, with that being said, with that, the other thing is, with no sidewalk, no shoulders, or anything on North Street, I personally consider, in my opinion, that I disagree, respectfully disagree with you
That's fine.
on that being a safer route. In my opinion, I think that is probably a less safer route
No,
to travel. And the other thing is, I do know that you drive, that you're a bus driver.
Yes,
And in one of the letters that came to the board, you addressed that one of your parents, one of your students,
yes.
was upset. After speaking with an employee of Rutland Northeast who has coordinated and stuff, apparently he didn't know of any student that.
No, it is my nephew.
Oh,
that
okay.
I didn't want to bring up, and I was bringing him home to my house to stay.
Oh, okay.
Well,
It
wasn't a student in the district.
That's what I meant with,
No.
I was trying to address some of the things that were in
Yes.
your letter, that's all. And the picture and the complaints and everything that you have voiced to us, not here, but in your emails to us, we're all coming from Leicester, correct?
Yes, but
And the dump trucks that were taken a picture of, and my picture on my computer wasn't very good, and my printout wasn't very good, but it looked like to me that those trucks were heading north. Maybe you could
I think
tell me one way or another better.
from what I could tell, what the person who sent me the
Like,
email,
it looks like it was going up that long hill
right near the
where it
yield
comes out
sign
of
where,
Pearson Road up
yeah,
Long
heading
Road.
towards the pit,
But they were headed up towards the pit?
up towards the pit, yeah.
Okay, like I said, I kind of assumed they were heading north because they were empty. They looked like to me they were empty.
They were empty and heading, from what I could gather from the email that was sent to me, that they were heading towards the pit.
Oh, okay.
And then that.
Just when I see that hill, I kind of thought that was going
Yeah,
after
it's kind of hard to tell. but
Pearson Road.
I probably should have explained it better, sorry.
If that was the case and they were headed north, emptied, it would assume to me that there would be, maybe there was a construction project going on within the town of Leicester someplace. That was only, and for us to address something that has happened in Leicester, I mean, that's nothing, I know that you've gone to the Leicester board and,
Yes.
I don't know, how you made out, I hope you made out well, but, I don't think that's anything we can address.
I mean, I'm not telling you to like
Right.
post the roads
No,
or anything.
no.
I'm just saying, since they're coming from a branded business, I felt like it's
Right.
something that could be preventable.
Right. And, just, I guess in closing on the thoughts are that, in your letter, you had stated that it affected far more residents in Leicester.
I mean, in terms of I was talking about, because in a previous email I was sent by,
But I'm just suggesting on this route, on this, I'm suggesting that you're probably talking about, residents on this route in Leicester and,
yes, I was
Right.
talking about, I mean, I know your number one goal is to represent residents of Brandon.
Right.
I was just saying that,
right, and I'm also going back to the fact that, going back the other way, it also, with Lake Dunmore and Fern Lake being a very popular swimming area during the summer, there's a lot of camps and everything, so I respectfully again disagree with the amount of people that it affects in going the town farm to the Warren Road versus going, North Street up through by Fern Lake over on the Route 7. And that's where I'm gonna leave it.
okay, and that's fine,
Right.
They have, according to a family member I know that works for DNF, who drives for them,
Right.
he said they already use the alternate route when the road gets too bad, and they've been using that.
When it's posted, yes, I mean, I firmly believe that we should, when it's posted, to keep that alternative, that they should have to use that road.
Yeah, and he said all the problems that he's heard about happened during the stretch from Delmar Road to Town Farm, and that he has never had a problem. I mean, he says that one-lane bridge is sketchy, but, I mean,
It seems like the dirt road is narrower than the paved road in general.
It is, but if you look at all your dirt roads in Brandon, I believe they're narrower than tar roads because you're.
Well, exactly. But I think that's why inherently the paved roads tend to be more safe than the dirt road when it comes to large trucks. And so I don't think it's strictly a question of how many houses are on the road. I think that the slightly wider road makes a big difference to a large truck.
and,
And, addressing your question, I respectfully disagree with you on that too. Being, driven plenty of trucks, big, small, if you're driving the way you're supposed to be, then I don't believe there's an issue.
Could I ask someone else who hasn't commented yet, Mr. Knapp?
Well, I was here the last time we discussed this, and on your comment about, I bet if you go measure the width of Town Farm Road for most of the way up through, from where it turns to dirt to where you go into Leicester, I guarantee you there's only a couple places that are that are narrower than the pavement. That road's a pretty wide road up through there. And like I said, we discussed this a month ago or whenever we were here before. It just doesn't make any sense, and I drive it and I'm a taxpayer, to put all those trucks over the paved road that the town just put money into and fixed up. It just, as a taxpayer, I hate to see that, And I've driven for DNF for 11 years now, and I've never had an incident on that road.
Thank you. Mr. Atherton, is there any news on the traffic study?
So, I was told that the strip went out Friday, I haven't gone to check. Devin from the Regional Transportation Center went out Friday afternoon.
How long does that typically take?
It's a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks.
Yeah. Just one thing, and add something to this conversation too, especially with North Street, was before even any of you guys were in this room, we were looking at doing, like said, roads to school sidewalk grant twice actually on North Street. And it was when the town had no money and we couldn't even afford to do the engineering study on it. But that was, North Street was one of those roads that was really like noted as it needed sidewalks because of the amount of houses within Forest Brook and the mobile home parks and the proximity with initially school and stores and everything else. And I drive that road half dozen times a day, and there are pedestrians on that road a lot. And there's a lot of blind spots because the road kind of goes up, from the store towards Northern Woodcraft, and you can't see. I could see where that could be a real big issue if there was going to be more truck traffic on it, because it is blind, and there's nowhere for pedestrians to go right now, so.
I mean, the other thing that I was telling Mr. Giles beforehand, it's as far as owning a trucking company, and I'm going to use DNF as an example. Their insurance bill is probably more than most of our mortgage payments are on the vehicles and stuff that they have for a liability. And I know the few trucks that I have up and down the road, that I do have on the road, I encourage my drivers to take the least amount of traffic route that's available, whether it be foot traffic, vehicle traffic. I don't want my trucks exposed to any more liability than what they have to be. And I'm sure, and like I said, just using DNF, I know what my insurance premiums are per year, and as I said, I believe a company like DNF, I believe their insurance premium is probably more than any of our mortgages.
So, Mr. Hopper, I did speak to the town of Leicester on this last week just to see what their minutes are posted now if anyone cares to look at it. That they made a decision to send letters out to the folks they knew who were doing business on the road, and that they were going to have the sheriff's department or state police patrol the road for fast traffic. I know our police department has been out there, and oddly enough, the times they've been out recently, there haven't been any trucks on the road.
Yeah, I saw one today when they had no
I
trucks.
was out there last Tuesday. It was right after it rained because it was still pretty beat up, and didn't see any trucks. And it is. It's winding down now. We're going to stop seeing the 73 trucks, Casella's trucks. They're heading out of town, so that's really going to clean up, and that's not coming back next year. So.
I see the chief of police is here. Do you have any comment tonight?
Yes.
Please.
This is really a situation that is more a timing factor. There's clearly much more truck traffic during the summertime. And while we've gotten these complaints, we have sat there numerous times at different times of the day. And in all honesty, I can't tell you that we've had one truck that was speeding 2 miles an hour of the speed limit. We find much more regular vehicle traffic that are speeding much more. I don't know that reducing the speed limit is going to make a difference. I don't know that closing it to truck traffic is going to make a difference. The reality is that we all have to kind of get along, and when there are issues with perceived taking up the roadway or speeding, that they're addressed to us, and then we immediately address that, specific to when the person making the complaint gives us an idea of what their time frame is. Now, granted, we've been short-staffed, but we have still sat out at different locations on that road at different times of the day and just haven't found those complaints. Do they happen? Sure they do. But if anybody here can acknowledge that driving a dirt road, if you drive a dirt road, you never drive it on the edge of the road because it's always loose gravel. Typically, most of the roads in this town for periods of time have, ruts in them, have potholes, and drivers tend to gravitate towards the center of the road, and they move over when they see oncoming traffic. Sometimes when you're coming around a corner, that's difficult and people try to navigate. My point is that I think everyone tries to be respectful when they're on the road, and when it's not happening, those complaints are best addressed through us, and then giving us the opportunity to try to educate people if we see them doing that behavior, before just trying to find people and make one or two people happy and making everybody else unhappy. So again, not to say that your complaints have not happened to you, but they happen to me 15 times a day with people looking down at their cell phones when they're driving, and there's not a lot I can do about that. So, you know, it's a matter of just trying to make this complaint be public information, and I know that drivers at your company hear these complaints, and I know that other people that live on town farm hear them, so everyone's aware of it. If they're just more aware, maybe their behavior will be a little bit more cautious when they're driving on those roads.
I'm not saying that they're doing anything. Most of them are just driving normally, you know, driving safe. What I'm saying is that when you have to drive in the middle of the road, around those blind corners and stuff on Town Farm Road, and you know, people walking around the corner or driving around the corner and have this giant truck flying around not flying, but driving around the blind corner is really dangerous. And I believe it was Mr. Bailey, correct me if I'm wrong, said last year that that stretch of road is one of the most dangerous roads, scariest roads you've driven.
It was one of the scariest roads I've ridden my bicycle on.
Bicycle, well, yeah, but I mean, imagine walking
At
on.
4:30 on a Friday night, there were,
Yeah, but
we
also,
trying to get that last run in that.
but I've driven, I run, I ride bicycles, I walk my dogs, I ride a motorcycle, and I've done it in every road imaginable in Brandon. And and I'm not saying this just because I live on the road, but the one that I'm scared most of, that I've personally been on, is that stretch till the town line, when it's blind corners and a bunch of through traffic coming in, and you got the farm trucks, and which we can't do anything about the farm trucks, but.
And with that being said, that's probably one of our, you know, they aren't registered, they aren't.
Yeah,
Well,
that's why I know you can't do anything about it.
That's a sad part of it,
Yeah,
of that.
because, yeah.
I too have looked at this many ways, and I'm glad that Chief answered, because I can't imagine you could ever catch a speeder up here much over the 35 mile an hour limit. You know, when it's 25, maybe, you know, I tend to drive slower than my wife. So as a test, I had my wife drive me up through there twice last week, just to see what would happen, and at a point, going by your house, I said, how fast are you going? She said 25, you know, I was surprised, because I probably would have been going 15. But. So I try to look at it in different ways, and I can tell you that I have gone up your road numerous times also looking to see if I see a truck going too fast. And I must be like the chief, that every time I have gone up through there, I have not even run into a truck yet, other than that one time I was bike riding on it, you know, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but I mean.
And I don't know what the right enforcement is. I know when you were here two times ago, you know, I suggested some, what I would call alternative signage,
Yeah.
only because I grew up in an area near a lake where traffic was a problem, and the people in the neighborhood solved it by, you know, making a sign. It's not a legal sign, it's not a DOT sign or something, but the sign, you know, said, you know, lake traffic, many children at play kind of thing. And I was right thinking about a 4x8 sheet of plywood somewhere in that stretch of land saying, this may be a shortcut to you, but our children play here, you know. And that might do more to slow down someone or to make someone realize that there are pedestrians than you know, some of these other things. And I really still encourage you to try that. I don't know, I mean, I know that's not a great answer, but.
Again, I mean, speed is a problem with regular cars, but the trucks, they can't really, I mean, there are a couple spots where they do speed, but the main issue is around those, for me personally, are around those blind corners and the narrow parts where they can't really give you any room, and when they do, it's like very little bit.
Yeah, and it's the options aren't great, because North Road has more people on it, Tracy's trying to stay, and yet each lane of that is pretty tight too. I don't know. You know, this isn't an easy answer.
I agree. I've thought about a million different alternative ways, and
I mean, if you guys want to make a sign, I'd donate the piece of plywood if they make a sign on it. You know, I realize I
not a good artist.
don't know what the right answer is. And,
Was there
You
a
know, I
comment
think
to
if-
that? Was there a
Once we
comment
get through
to
construction season,
I'm just saying, billboard, that's a billboard, it's a billboard law, but you can't put a 4x8 sheet of plywood up
That's right.
the side of the
We'll
road.
cut it in half, we'll have one each direction. We can put it up until some chief tells us we have to take it down.
Not my jurisdiction.
Oh,
Did you have additional, Mr. Meyer?
no, I mean, I know in the last 2 years with all the construction that's been going on here in town and Route 73, I believe that we're gonna see that truck traffic
I mean,
decrease.
I mean, I haven't lived here for very long, I think 3.5, 4 years, something like that. But the people before me that I've talked to have lived there on the road their whole lives, or a very long time, say that trucks have been a problem even when there's not construction.
Right.
Because that's been there forever.
Did you say Lester is sending letters to the operators,
To the companies, you know?
like of an educational nature?
I don't know, they just said they would send letters to, I could ask Julie for a copy of what they send.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Has Sean chimed in on it as our new road foreman? Does he feel that it's better having trucks going on the dirt road than the paved road? Or where are we at on that, please?
Yep, actually, he'd rather have them on the dirt, because he thinks the dirt is easier to maintain. You can just run out with a grader, and instead of it tearing up our asphalt and
I have a question. Are we responsible for signage on our dirt roads? Yeah. So often when you have, difficult sections, you'll have a warning sign saying, blind corner coming up, or autistic child, it's like, could we put some signs at least at the narrow spots that say, caution, narrow section, something showing that this area of the road needs more caution?
we can.
You don't see that as correct?
Well, I think it's like dropping a speed limit from 35 to 25. The folks that obey the speed limit are gonna do it. The folks that are already driving 40 aren't gonna drive 25.
And-
I mean, we can put signs up, but I don't know how
And-
effective it will be.
And as a driver myself, who drives 40 hours a week, signs will go up, you'll notice them the first few days, and then they'll just become background noise after that. You probably know that too, about that. Yeah, you just won't even notice them anymore.
And then what you notice is just your drivers that are on it all the time are the ones that are, they're gonna pay attention because they know what they need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Additional comment, new information? Mr. Jobst?
In the interest of safety over there, we're kind of missing the second half of the story over there. The people on the road, walking on the road, don't seem to be understanding the fact that it's a narrow road and they should turn and watch for the vehicles coming. I've watched them over here with women pushing carriages right on a paved road, and they're side by side, and you have to go
I've seen
all the way
that,
to the other side of the road.
I've seen that, yeah.
So therefore, we're missing the responsibility of the people that are walking on the street. You haven't brought that up at all, and you see that all the time because you drive and you see it constantly.
No, I do.
But I
No,
haven't
and I
heard you
agree
mention
that.
anything about anybody advising the pedestrians or say, hey, folks, let's share the road.
Well,
Not-
isn't it pedestrians right away?
They have the
Number
right
one.
of way, but there's a point where there's sense and sensibility. Are you gonna stand out in front of the truck and say, oh, I got my responsibility, my right of way? No.
No, but the pedestrians shouldn't have to jump into a ditch.
I understand that, but they should be aware of a vehicle coming so they can hear it and watch for it. But everybody's so oblivious nowadays on their phone that you can watch them and your eyesight, you guys drive all the time, and you see them out there, they're
I
just
do.
oblivious to the drivers.
I do, but the only thing I can mention are the people who've told me their stories, and I don't, obviously the people who aren't being safe pedestrians don't tell me that stuff, and
Sure. I mean, it's just an observation that I've seen.
No, I agree
in
that some
defense of
pedestrians are very
everybody being
stupid.
against the truck driver, anti-truck.
No, I'm a driver, I'm not anti-truck, and I do know several truck drivers, and I don't think most of them have any ill will or
On that sign, 4x8 sign, hey pedestrians, be aware. You know, add that part to it.
Just have like a list.
Bigger size.
So Seth, do you have any input from, someone who has a business of bikers? Because, many of your bikers will ride the back roads.
They don't actually. My bikers tend to ride paved roads.
Okay.
So, I mean, if I were, I don't know, I guess, if I were you, you live near the south end, right, of the dirt part.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a couple
So,
hundred
I mean,
yards from
Yeah, I mean, there are roads in Brandon and out of Brandon that I tell the bicyclists, it's not a great road for bicyclists. Like, I mean, if I lived, we used to live on Route 73, we still live on Route 73 section. We used to live on Route 73 where the speed limit was 50. And we had children, we never walked for fun. We used to pop them in the car and drive downtown and walk on sidewalks. And if I lived where you lived, I would probably walk my dog on Richmond Road, which is posted for trucks or something. Like I find some other, I guess, I don't want to say in a disrespectful way that, you shouldn't ever be able to walk on the road that your house is on, but there are some roads that are not great for multiple purposes.
No, I agree. I mean, the only issue was the walking. I would make a big deal about it, but it's more the driving that I'm concerned about, because, I mean...
So what happens, like like what happens? Do you come to a stop if there's a big truck coming?
Well,
you
the
feel
big
like
truck
it's-
was coming towards me.
Yep.
And I slowed down,
Right,
but I didn't want to come to a complete stop, because if they didn't stop, I would have much less time to maneuver out of the way. So I slowed down, and I saw them coming, honked my horn, flashed my lights, saw that they weren't stopping, and then maneuvered off the road. And I don't know, I know it's not a DNF driver, that's all I know, because the front was blue. I sent them in there.
And was that on DeLorme Road or Pearson Road?
Little after the Pearson Road.
On DeLorme Road, no?
Yeah. But again, I mean, since it's a truck coming out of Brandon, I felt like,
Right. No, I understand your car. I was just wondering,
yeah, it was right in front of, what's it, Gildran Farm,
oh,
Gildran.
yeah, right here on the,
Yeah,
just a little bit south of the...
yeah.
what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, I'd like to see a vote for the possibility of going back to what we tried before, which is not allowing trucks on the north end of, on the dirt section of Old Town Farm Road.
We can vote
I
on
mean, I
that.
make that motion.
I mean,
Is there a
is
second?
there any, I mean, I don't know a lot about the roads. Is there no other way to get, there's no back road, back entrance to that pit anywhere?
I think the pits only come out onto Town Farm Road.
Right.
So Mr. Giles has a motion to retain the previous policy. Is there a second? Is there a second? None heard, the motion fails for lack of a second.
I would make a motion that Dave check with Tom Lester, and maybe we should draft up a letter, same as what maybe Lester has done. Does that make sense?
It's not a motion yet, so I'd like to see us, either Dave or Dave together with Seth, draft a letter or informational thing to the three sand pits and let them know that, this problem has come to us all summer long, and that we understand that they're in business and want to be in business, but we would ask them to let their truckers know that we have safety concerns and would like them to care.
I think you only have one left.
No, yeah, I mean, they still have the one Swinton's,
Right.
so I mean, there's two. But I don't think Swinton's is, they aren't active only,
Which one's Swinning?
the one north of,
Pasture house.
Pasture, north of.
The one that Casella uses?
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
and I think that's only used, I mean, it's nothing that's used on a regular basis, I mean, that's only been she uses, she sells, what's that?
Bobby Laporte uses it.
Right. Yeah, just the local guy uses it, but.
I think if the drivers knew that this has come to us numerous times, and we're not trying to make it difficult on the drivers, but we need the drivers to comply with safe driving. I mean, as you say, we can make a law, but it's hard to enforce it. We can tell them to go this way or that way, but we can't enforce it. We can weigh the trucks, but we don't have anyone that can weigh the trucks, so it's really gonna be on somebody's.
And I mean, the other thing that was brought to my attention from a fellow from Leicester, I don't know what would have to be done if Leicester didn't post the roads and Brandon posted it. It's almost got to be posted on both ends. Leicester would have to be posted along with, otherwise Brandon would have to, and I don't know this as a statute, but it only makes sense that
They have to have a place to turn around.
they have to have a place to turn around, it'd have to be a turnaround. So one of the things that I was told when we had the posted signs up the last time, it would be illegal for that truck basically to turn around in somebody's driveway, or
Oh, yeah.
we'd have to make a turnaround. From what I've been told, and like I said, that, I don't know if that's statute, but I can't imagine it.
Yeah, when I talked to Lester about the whole thing, they seemed confused about the legalities of it all.
Right.
And so, I don't know.
Is there a motion on the floor?
No,
I think Tracy made it.
Did you actually make
I thought
that?
you did. I thought you did.
Yeah, well, I guess if one put it into motion, that Dave
Confer with Lester.
confer with Lester and maybe come up with a similar letter.
Some of the letters were here.
Is there a second? Mr. Bailey seconds the motion that Mr. Atherton confer with the town of Leicester and develop a similar letter or a letter educating users of the road, known users of the road. And maybe the
Don't we have-
gravel pits.
I don't have a better list than I do who uses the road, because I only know.
Well, I mean, I would send it to the gravel pit, and I guess ask if they have it sent out to. I mean, I think that would be the,
Mr. Reisman.
I guess I don't understand how you operate. Do you really need a motion for something like that? Can't the board just ask the town manager to do something,
Well, generally, the town manager acts as the town's agent
Right.
on day-to-day stuff, but it's often helpful for the town manager to have something in the board minutes to point to say this is the specific direction.
But it has to be a motion.
Well, if the board wants to take any action, it really should be a motion.
Okay.
We shouldn't act by consensus. So there's a motion and a second to ask Mr. Atherton to confer with Lester about a letter for known users of the road and the gravel pit owners. Any discussion, further discussion? If not, ready to vote, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Any abstentions? So the ayes have it. So we'll do that. We're proceeding with the traffic study to see about whether the speed limit is justified. I think that's about it for right. Well, we'll look at signage. We'll have the road foreman. That doesn't have to be a motion. That's just kind of a matter of doing business. He'll look about regulatory signage, warning signage. And that's about it for right now. I think.
I have one more question. Mr. Weimer, maybe Mr. Knapp would be able to answer my question. Would it be of any benefit for a select board member or town manager or whatever to go to the gravel pit and talk to them? Or, instead of mailing that letter? Face to face, would that be better or wouldn't make any difference?
It's hit or miss if you catch anybody there. I mean, the guys that run, the two guys that work in the pit will be there, but
no, that's not gonna talk to,
The drivers.
well, it's not gonna talk to the owner. The owner's on the road.
Owner's on the road.
if you get the letter, I'll take it to him,
Yes, Mr. Reisman.
Can I, during the discussion, there was a comment made that the bridge on Town Farm Road is one lane.
Right.
Are there signs there? Because on Wheeler Road, they put signs up.
On Wheeler Road, there are now signs. yeah.
I guess I technically shouldn't have called it one lane.
Because I didn't know it was
Cars can
one
fit
lane.
it.
I guess I technically couldn't have called, shouldn't have called it a one-lane bridge, but,
Okay,
it is,
it's narrow.
it's narrow.
It's narrow.
You can put 2 cars in there,
Barely.
and you can put a truck and a car in there, but just
It's scary.
out of courtesy, whether it's a car or truck, you know.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering, because on Wheeler Road, they made it very specific.
Right.
So I was just wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all set? We'll move along. Thank you. Thank you all for the contributions. Thank you for understanding each other. Item 10 is to consider the purchase of a 2019 Ford F-550. Can you introduce this, Mr. Atherton, because I wasn't entirely clear on what I was reading.
Absolutely. So, we've been looking at, for a while, at getting a different truck, or another truck down a highway. One was first a pickup, which we didn't see the point of. And a 550 came up, kind of like the one we have with plow and everything on it. One is that we've got enough guys to drive them now. The 550s are pretty versatile. We're going up through like Mount Pleasant, hitting parking lots. As you know, we have more curves to go around now. And so I asked Sean to just start getting some bids and some quotes from folks. So we came up, we got 2 actually for G-Stone and Claremont. So.
G-Stone's in here.
So G-Stones was actually $400 less, but they wouldn't have the truck, the body wouldn't be built until probably next year, like a year from now. The one in Claremont's are ready to go. It's got all the equipment on it that we need.
And is this for one truck or 2? I
This is
see
for
here
one.
some notes on the side that add up to $97,000.
Yeah, the truck's 48, and then when you add all the plow and the sander and the body has to be built for the back of it, Tim. So you're just basically buying the truck, and then all the attachments come on
So
after.
it's actually a $97,000.
And Mr. Atherton, can you talk a little bit about how this fits into the budget? Because this is a current year expense we're talking about, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we'd go through, we wouldn't pay cash for it. We'd do one of the loans through our companies we borrow from. But we'll be able to pay off the tandem this year. I think we owe like $64,000 on it, which would free up that payment to get this one.
And so are we short a truck? Is this replacing a truck we already have?
No, we'd be adding the truck. Then we would have 2 550s, so because we have the manpower right now.
The other thing is, you don't need a CDL to drive that truck either.
Not to drive, if you're hauling with a garbage trailer on it, you would.
Right, but I mean, for somebody to be in that plowing, they wouldn't have to have CDL, right?
And then when one of our internationals finally die, or we need to get rid of it, we'd like to replace it with another tandem a few years down the road. And we can give us 2 tandems, 1 single axle, and 2 550s.
So is it the foreman's judgment, your judgment, this is a versatile, is that the idea behind doing this one instead of either bigger or smaller?
Correct.
It's a good medium size.
Oh, we didn't really see the point in the pickup's probably the worst of them all, but they're kind of useless. Unless we've got, the 550 definitely would come in more handy than another pickup truck or a pickup truck. We'll just keep the one we have and run it along.
And so you're suggesting 4 vehicles for the highway department? You said a tandem, a single axle, and 2 550s?
So right now, well, that's what we have now. We have a tandem, we have 2 single axles, and a 550. So we would add another 550.
So, do you have employees enough?
Well, this is our plan, Tracy, that we've talked about having, this is gonna come up more in budget, but that we would add another highway person versus a public works.
Well, I mean, we didn't talk about
And
that.
we have been advertising for that, but we also would have a buildings and grounds, kind of like what we did before, that was filling in for highway right now.
Right.
So, and they would be able to use the 550 with, running the mower around and stuff too, so that would be nice to have.
And there's enough work where we need 2 550, because I guess that's the question I'm.
We're not running out of
in my
work.
mind.
We're not running out of work.
With all this infrastructure that we put in, you're gonna have plenty of work.
Well, if you guys noticed too, like, we did a lot of pavement patching this last week too, that, Sean went and.
I think they've done a lot on the dirt roads.
Yeah, we cleaned up a lot of brush on the long side of dirt roads. We're looking at culvert replacements, Sean and I are already looking through that for what we can do next year. So there's plenty of work out there.
Is this a buy or a lease?
Buy. We don't really lease any of our equipment.
Are these, what are these on, one of the pages is a bunch of numbers, 6 months, 72 months, is that?
Well, that's what the dealers send us, but we'll go through our regular.
That's them trying to sell us a warranty, their warranty.
Right.
So there was no other bodies?
Nothing else is built. Nothing else has been built. Iroquois out about a year and Boy King is over a year, so. I mean, when we bought the tandem, it took us, I don't know, it took a year to build that one, at least. So,
Well, that's what I meant, so, but the quote you got for the body is from Fairfield.
yep. Well, Fairfield already has it built on the truck.
Oh, it's already built on the truck?
The Claremont one's done. That
Oh,
truck's
okay.
ready to go. We go pick it up, it's all
Gotcha.
built. That's the difference
Okay.
between the two
Well,
right
that's what I was wondering, I think it was a Fairfield body, but it's already on the truck.
And what would our payment be and for how long?
I can tell you when we get financing. You guys are gonna have to approve it anyway.
Pleasure of the board.
What are you looking at from Ross, so go ahead, or?
This is beyond his purchasing authority. I'm sure he needs a vote.
Definitely.
I certainly think the 550 is the more versatile truck, can do a lot more stuff around town. A question I had was on the last page of the quote with the body and whatever, like the wing. I mean, is that like a wing with the snow plow on a
Yeah, we have a
550?
wing on our 550.
We're on the 550 we got here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep, okay, that's a message right out there.
Is it reasonable to suggest that we would eliminate one of the smaller vehicles and thus instead of having 5 vehicles and you only have 4? I mean, I guess I'm thinking with the size of the department or the number of people who need to work, is there a need for the smaller vehicles?
We're gonna have hopefully 5 employees, and when we plow, we have to have every truck we have on the road. I mean, most of the trucks, we're not using them all summer, not everyone every day all summer long.
Right.
When snow flies, they're out all the time.
Do they all go out?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we have the night guys coming in too, so
Yeah.
the trucks are on the go.
I guess I'll make a motion to move forward with the truck that was presented to us from Claremont, Ford Claremont, for the amount of $97,877.90. Is that right on the figure?
Yeah, it doesn't include title and registration.
Mr. Wyman moves to approve purchase of the F-550 from Ford of Claremont not to exceed $97,877.90. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Mr. Coolidge seconds. Is there further discussion?
But we have to take it out of the Claremont for servicing, or will?
No, it's a Ford, we go to just on.
Just don't do it.
They do all of our stuff.
I mean, I guess that would be the other question. Our car, we couldn't do that because Claremont's already bid on it. They're already bidding on it. Nothing, never mind. All right.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I just, on the financing schedule, I'd like to suggest that this year, I think that there's, depending on how segment 6 ends, there could be some cash left over in our budget, maybe. I think they might have the payment out there as long as we can.
The
So,
payment's gonna be significantly less than the tandem was.
Right.
So once we get the approval, Jack and Al will finance it together. And I can have that number for you for the next meeting.
Mr. Reisinger?
Yeah, I'm sort of surprised that there's nobody in Vermont that can provide this vehicle. I just personally have a problem going on
to the Tabernacle, which I know is well within your spending limits. What are we renting a box trailer? What is that?
So that is the rec department.
Okay.
And that is for that structure, that play structure that was donated to the town from McDonald's. And it's a very sore subject.
Cemetery park.
I want it built because we ended up buying a box years ago because it was cheaper to buy one than to rent one, and then we were given this wonderful play structure.
And then what happened to the box that we bought and didn't rent?
No, we have it. We have the box still. It's on the wastewater. It's got all the stuff that was in the mobile station in it.
Oh, so we do own them,
We do.
because it's cheaper to buy than to rent.
We bought it pretty
And that's for long term,
cheap. We own it.
and this is kind of for,
Well, it's short term. Yeah, I'd like it to be a little shorter.
Mr. Chair,
I got one other
I'd like to,
yeah.
rescind the second.
Yeah, Mr. Weiner rescinds his second. Is there a second? You got that, Sean? Tracy rescinds his second.
On the warrant?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Who moved it?
Right.
Okay.
All right,
Mr. Coolidge moves it, and Mr. Bailey seconds the approval of the
Find
warrant.
there's something on there, right? Okay, I'm sorry. So, one more question here on TCE for $817 on page 5. The Arnold District culvert, is that like an inspection of the culvert? Then we're talking about.
No, this was something that our previous public works director had started, hoping that we could get some funding to replace that culvert on Arnold District Road that's pretty bad. So they did, it had been engineered, and there's no money there right now, and it's on hold until we can see what we want to do.
So this isn't any work on it, it was kind of engineering for what we want to do.
Well, they came out of this site visit
Okay.
with Camp Precast. So it actually, I'll fill you in, I took Seth out there, what was it, last Tuesday maybe, I wanted to go take a look at it, because it is something that we really need to get replaced within the next couple of years. So I'm hoping next year we'll apply for the Transportation Alternatives Grant, which will cover $175,000. It's about a $225,000 box that we have to go in there. So that's what that is, Doug, and I'm hoping more to come on that one.
Yep. Final question.
Ready to vote on the warrant? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions?
Aye.
Mr. Weiner abstains. Second warrant, Route 7.
I'll make a motion to approve the segment 6 warrant amount of $868,765.34.
Mr. Bailey moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Giles seconds. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions?
Aye.
Mr. Weiner abstains. Third warrant, Bridge 114.
I'll make a motion to pay the warrant.
Mr. Weiner moves to approve.
87 cents.
Is there a second?
So-
Mr. Coolidge seconds. Mr. Atherton.
So I think moving forward with this one, I'm going to change the name of it to Bridge Slab, because that's technically what it's for, is that slab that's out there. Because the bridge is actually, we closed the bridge out a couple of meetings ago.
So the bridge is completed, and now this warrant will be the
It'll be the
thing
bridge
that's next to the town office, over the water, under the road.
on top of the water.
Like springs to the water.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. So that's those. So we do have the financials from the town treasurer, which is excellent. That is, oh, it's not the
No, it's not.
financials.
So
It's not the
this-
financials.
This is, actually, I should have brought this up when we did the budget committee.
Yeah.
This is, fill in the blank for you guys. If there's things that you want to start with, you're more than welcome to. and then we can, we want to show you too, and Jackie's got, the budget, the actuals, and for last year, and the budget and the actuals for this year too, which I think would be helpful for you to see how it's trending.
Very good.
So, just something to, that's,
Thank you.
just, get a little jump on it.
Very good. And then we have the FEMA meeting notice that we mentioned a little bit ago, October 29 or 30, Mr. Atherton's going to one. And if any board member wants to go to one, they can contact Mr. Atherton. Okay, so at this time, the board's going to recess. We're going to convene as the Board of Liquor Control Commissioners, have that meeting, and then the board will meet in 2 executive sessions as warned on the agenda.